You have already sucked the blood of 998 virgins. Only one more to go, and you can consume their essence and blood. Then find a virgin boy born at 9 o'clock on September 9th. In his dying moment, borrow his body to reincarnate. Then you can be reborn. Currently, you are still a mosquito. These 3 years, your proboscis has almost worn out. Whenever you encounter a girl, you suck her blood. But finding a virgin who meets the criteria, among 10 targets, finding one is already good. 18 years old and still a virgin are very few and far between. You weren't originally a mosquito, but a living person, the eldest young master of the Wen family in the imperial capital, Wenxiang. 3 years ago, your fiancée Lin Shinsheng, on the day of your engagement, colluded with her lover, the war god of the Dragon Kingdom, Yi Chen, and launched a brutal massacre on the Wen family. You witnessed your parents being killed. Your obedient and lovely sister was pinned to the bed and killed. As for you, Lin Xinlin personally slit your throat, chopped you into minced meat, and then threw you outside to feed the wild dogs. You thought you were dead, but just before you died, an ancestral mysterious jade pendant suddenly manifested its power, being claimed to be an ancient beast god, worshipped by 35 generations of the Wen family, with incense and offerings, for nearly 1,000 years. Now his merits were complete, about to ascend to immortality. At the moment of becoming immortal, the beast god specially bestowed his legacy upon you. At that time, you couldn't help but curse inwardly. My family is ruined and dead. I was also killed. You show up now. Isn't it too late? Being heard your complaints. And then, told you a method for rebirth. Find 999 18-year-old virgins. Then, on a full moon night, consume their essence and blood. Next, find a virgin boy born at 9 o'clock on September 9th. In his dying moment, borrow his body to reincarnate. So your soul attached itself to a mosquito for 3 years, day and night, without stopping. You inserted your proboscis into any girl you encountered. Now only one more remains. Suddenly, you sensed within a 10-mile radius, another target appeared. A virgin boy born at 9 o'clock on September 9th. With a thought, you immediately changed direction and flew towards him. Upon arrival, you saw a group of strong men beating up a young man in his 20s. He wore black framed glasses, his face covered in acne. His physique and appearance were simply indescribable. Seeing this, you felt a bit reluctant to bite. King Wei, tomorrow you will divorce Churuksu. If you don't comply, I'll bring people here every day to visit you. Among the attackers, the leader was a wealthy second-generation heir. He struck the boy in the stomach with a stick. Grabbing his hair, he demanded, "Did you hear me?" However, the beaten boy gazed back with fierce eyes. He spat a mouthful of bloody saliva at the rich heir's face. Sun Dalong, in your dreams. The rich heir was instantly enraged. He swung the stick again, smashing it onto the boy's head. With a dull thud, the boy's head split open, blood spurting several feet high. In the next moment, the boy's body collapsed limply to the ground. "Master Sun, I think you've killed him," shouted a burly man beside them. Sun Dalong was startled, his face filled with terror. But quickly, he regained his composure and hurriedly said, "Before anyone sees, let's get out of here." As soon as the words left his mouth, the wealthy heir and his gang swiftly left the scene. You witnessed this from above, then flew down to the boy's side. Examining his condition, his head was shattered, leaving only a faint breath. In less than 3 minutes, he would surely die. The timing, location, and circumstances were all perfect. Seeing this, you were not happy. Instead, you were as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. "Brother, you died too soon. I still haven't found the last virgin. Now I can't possess a body. Hey, a bit slower? Wait for me to find the last virgin, then come back to save you." seeing the young man's breath getting weaker. He seemed about to die at any moment. You could only watch helplessly. It was hard enough to find a suitable host, but now you could only watch him slip away. Although this guy was a bit ugly, at least he was human. As you were anxiously pacing, not far away, a clear and pleasant voice called out, "Tangyuan, come back here." Hearing this, you immediately turned to look and saw two women running over with flashlights. In front of them, a husky was running wildly like an unleashed horse. In no time, the husky reached the young man's side, sticking out its tongue, licking his blooded face vigorously. The two women caught up, panting heavily. "Mom, look! There's a person lying on the ground." These two women, one older and one younger. The older one looked about 40, but appeared to be in her 20s, with snow-white skin and radiant beauty. As for the younger one, at first glance, you were stunned by her beauty. She was simply breathtaking. The only flaw was her age. She was only 18. Her charm and grace hadn't yet fully developed. Wait, 18 years old. Your heart skipped a beat. Looking again. Then, thanks everyone Subris. You couldn't help but laugh heartily. I searched high and low, only to find it effortlessly. The last virgin is found. The mother and daughter just arrived in front of the young man. Immediately, their faces changed dramatically. The panic on the mother's face flashed briefly. She quickly crouched down to check the young man on the ground. It's not good. He has intracranial bleeding. He's already on the brink of death. Heijin, call an ambulance right away. The mother shouted to her daughter. Su Haitong was terrified, hastily taking out her phone to dial 120. The mother began performing CPR on the young man. Her technique and steps were very professional. Clearly, she must be a doctor. Seeing this situation, you no longer delayed. While the girl was making the call, you immediately flew under her skirt, found a tender, snow-white patch of skin, then pierced it with your proboscis. As the sweet and delicious blood entered your mouth, you were ecstatic. She is indeed a virgin. The next second, the quantity instantly transformed into quality. You felt a powerful force erupting inside your body, as if breaking through the heavens, creating a new world. With a thunderous boom, in an instant, the previously cloudless night sky was filled with lightning and thunder. The wind howled fiercely. Damn! Drinking the blood of 999 virgins has triggered a celestial phenomenon. After a brief hesitation, you flew out from under the girl's skirt and flew directly towards the young man. He was covered in blood from the beating. There was nowhere to bite. After searching for a while, you finally found a clean patch of skin. Let's do this. Prepare to welcome the invincible beast god. Accompanied by a dramatic shout, you thrust your proboscis, this time not to suck blood, but to inject the blood of the 999 once into his body. When the last drop of blood was injected, everything went black. You immediately lost consciousness. The next moment, you slowly opened your eyes and saw a fair-skinned, beautiful woman leaning down and planting a fragrant kiss on your lips. Following, a sweet scent filled your mouth. Looking closely, this woman was the same one who was saving the young man earlier. I am alive again. Ha ha ha! I am really alive again. Your heart burst with joy, overwhelmed with ecstasy. Suwaner, seeing the young man open his eyes, was shocked. Huh? This young man, he was clearly about to die just now. How did he suddenly wake up? You noticed there were others around, and immediately quieted down. Suddenly, you locked eyes with Suwaner. She saw your beaming face, radiant with vitality. Her beautiful eyes narrowed, and she couldn't help but marvel. You're all right now. You smiled awkwardly, and quickly said, "Thank you, sister, for saving my life." Suwaner stood up from you leisurely. Wait, to be precise, the owner of this body is named Wang Wei. How did you get beaten up like this? Suwaner asked. You made a quick excuse, bad luck. Ran into some thugs. I see you're badly injured. Shouldn't you go to the hospital? Suwaner asked. You shook your head, quickly getting up from the ground. No need. Just a small injury. I'll be fine after a good night's sleep. Suwaner frowned and solemnly reminded you, this is not a small injury. Your head was split open. As she spoke, she pointed at your head, but in the next second, her eyes widened suddenly. The previously shattered skull had miraculously healed, leaving only some sticky blood in your hair. How is possible? Did I see it wrong? Suwaner's eyes were wide with disbelief, feeling it was incredible. She turned to Su Haitong, who was coughing up blood. At that moment, Su Haitong shouted loudly, and immediately, Suwaner turned her head to look, seeing the once energetic husky lying on the ground, twitching all over. What is happening? The mother and daughter rushed over. Oh no, I'm dying. It hurts. A strange voice rang in your ear. You turned your head, looking around. After searching for a while, you followed the source of the voice and found the speaker. Help me. You looked at the husky on the ground. Your pupils constricted violently because the one speaking was this dog. After a brief moment of shock, you quickly realized this was one of your beast god inheritance abilities, the ability to understand the thoughts of all living things. Then you walked straight in, standing behind the mother and daughter. You asked the husky brother, what's wrong with you? The husky glanced at you with a look of disbelief. What the heck? How can you talk to me? Because I'm a god. You smiled, and using telepathy, you continued asking, don't worry about that. If you want to save your life, you need to answer my questions. The husky whimpered, nodding, okay. After a brief exchange, you understood the situation. Then, you told the anxious mother and daughter, he must have eaten rat poison. He's been poisoned, Su Haitong suddenly realized, and quickly shouted, I remember. Tanyuan seemed to have eaten half a sausage by the trash can. It's not the sausage. You immediately denied it. The husky had just told you. After eating Su Haitong's birthday cake, he noticed something was wrong with his body. So, driven by survival instinct, he broke free and ran out, trying to find some herbs in the wild to save himself. How could a birthday cake be poisoned? Unless someone had poisoned it in advance. Clearly, someone wanted to harm this mother and daughter, and it had to be someone close to them. It's not the sausage. Then what went wrong? He didn't eat anything unusual today, Su Haitong said in surprise. You didn't explain. Your ability was too extraordinary. If you told others, not only would they not believe you, they would think you were crazy. Actually, I'm a vet. I know a bit about detoxification. Why don't you let me try? The mother and daughter were quite surprised. Of course, even you were surprised. The moment you took over this body, all the memories flooded into your mind. Wang Wei, 25 years old. Occupation, veterinarian. He married into the wealthy Chu family as a live-in son-in-law. His wife Chiruksu, an exceptional beauty with a proud personality, currently the president of Chu Group. Wang Wei's grandfather had saved Chiruksu's grandfather's life. To repay this life-saving grace, they arranged a betrothal between the two. Wang Wei seemed like a winner in life, but in reality, his life was miserable. In his wife's family, except for the old man who liked him, no one else cared about him. In 3 years of marriage, he hadn't even gotten into his wife's bed once. This led to the fact that even though he was married, he was still a virgin. Furthermore, because his wife was so beautiful, she attracted a lot of admirers. Those wealthy young men who couldn't win her favor took their frustrations out on him. That's why they often came to trouble him. Hence, you witnessed him being brutally beaten by the rich heir. Oh my god, it really worked. Suhaitong covered her mouth, unable to suppress a gasp of astonishment. The husky that had been lying half dead on the ground miraculously recovered after you gave it a gentle massage. Even Suwaner beside her was shocked. You mean massage can detoxify? Suwaner asked. Massage can't detoxify anything. You thought. The silly dog was cured because I used my supernatural powers to gather and expel the toxins from its body. Otherwise, it would have surely died. Of course, you didn't say these thoughts out loud. You simply said it's an ancestral skill. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Maybe your dog was just lucky. The mother and daughter immediately expressed their gratitude to you, even taking out money to compensate you. But you waved your hand and refused. Ladies, you saved me just now. Now I've saved your dog. So it's a life for a life. Mother and daughter exchanged smiles. Then, both parties exchanged contact information, making friends. By the way, sister, pay attention to the people around you. See if any of them have any grudges against you. You reminded. Suwaner's eyes flickered, instinctively asking, what do you mean? You didn't clarify, but hinted your dog being poisoned was probably not an accident. At these words, Suwaner's face changed suddenly. She thought for a few seconds, then returned to her usual expression and said, Ziwang, thank you for your advice. I'll remember it. After that, the Su mother and daughter took their dog and waved goodbye to you. You stayed in place, lost in thought. Currently, there are two paths before you. The first path is to take on Wang Wei's identity. Stay in Beihai for a while. Build up your strength. The second path is to go straight to the imperial capital to seek revenge on those two scoundrels. After much consideration, you decided to choose the first path. You've just turned back into a human. Your strength is still too weak. Whether it's Lin Xinlin or Yi Chen, they are not opponents you can currently contend with. At 10 o'clock in the evening, you returned home. Regarding this unfamiliar woman, you didn't know how to respond. Even though you inherited Wang Wei's memories, you still weren't ready to accept this suddenly appearing wife. Chu Ruxu didn't live with her parents, but had bought a large apartment in the city center. Usually, Wang Wei stayed there. You took out the key from your pocket. Just about to open the door, you noticed two pairs of shoes at the entrance. One pair was women's high heels, the other men's dress shoes. You checked your own shoe size. It was size 40, but this pair was size 42. Someone was in the house. You hesitated for a moment. Then, with sharp senses, you heard noises from inside the room. Baby, I love you so much. Come on. Don't rush. Let's take a shower first. Oh well, we'll shower after. You frowned, your eyes widening in disbelief. Damn, how unlucky can I be? Just reborn and already being cheated on? Though surprised, you weren't angry. You mourned for the deceased Wang Wei for 3 seconds, then turned and walked away. As soon as you left, the elevator door opened. A woman in professional attire stepped out, wearing high heels, walked out. She was breathtakingly beautiful, like a fairy descending to earth. She walked to the spot where you had stood and opened the door to go inside. The couple inside, in the midst of their romantic moment, were startled. The man, half undressed, quickly pulled his clothes back on, shouting in panic, Sis, why are you back? Chu Ruxu, expressionless, first glanced at the man, then shifted her gaze to the heavily made-up woman beside him. How do you have the key to my house? I saw you enter the code before. Chu Rugging replied, lowering his head. Speaking cautiously, why did you bring a woman to my house? Chu Ruxu asked in a harsh tone. Chu Rugging, with a raspy voice, said, Mom and Dad froze my bank card. I had no money to get a room. You're such a scoundrel. Get out immediately. Chu Ruxu's face darkened, her eyes filled with fury as she shouted. Without a word, Chu Rugen grabbed the girl's hand and ran towards the door in a hurry. Wait, she called. What else? Has Wang Wei come back? Chu Rugen shook his head. I haven't seen him. All right. You can go. Chu Ruxu waved her hand after her ungrateful brother, and the unclean woman left. She collapsed onto the sofa, feeling awkward. Where is that guy? Chu Ruxu was about to call and ask, but as soon as she picked up her phone, she felt something was amiss. In the end, she resisted the urge to call. You put the phone back in its place. Forget it. I'll wait until he comes back. She wasn't worried about Wang Wei regarding this so-called husband. She didn't have a shred of affection. In fact, she despised him. The only reason she wanted to find Wang Wei was to get him to sign a divorce agreement in the dead of night, having nowhere else to go. You relied on the memories in your mind to find your way to a pet hospital at the flower and bird market to spend the night. This pet hospital was funded by Chu Ruxu for Wang Wei, but due to Wang Wei's poor management, the pet hospital was on the brink of bankruptcy. Calling it a pet hospital, it was really just a small clinic of about 100 square meters. On the signboard by the door, the words Wang Wei Hospital were prominently written, with pet in between, but the light was broken, so it wasn't visible. You took out the key from your pocket and opened the door just as you entered. Before you had a chance to familiarize yourself with the surroundings, a group of people rushed in frantically. Is there a doctor here? You turned your head and were startled. A middle-aged man, covered in blood, was holding a girl in a pleated skirt. Behind him were two strong bodyguards, but they were also in a miserable state, their heads bleeding. I am the doctor. What's the matter? You asked. We just had a car accident at the intersection. Doctor, please save my daughter. The middle-aged man pleaded. You were stunned on the spot and said with a confused expression, Sir, I think you've made a mistake. I may be a doctor, but I'm a veterinarian. Then why does the sign say hospital? The middle-aged man asked instinctively. You gave an awkward smile, scratching your head. You might have missed the pet part in the middle. The middle-aged man was speechless. He quickly shouted to the bodyguard behind him, Are there any clinics nearby? The bodyguard replied truthfully, Boss, we checked around. All the clinics are closed, and the ambulance will take at least half an hour to arrive. Hearing this, the middle-aged man's face became extremely grave. At this moment, you took a closer look at him. Although he was older, he was strong and imposing, with an aura of authority. He was clearly no ordinary person. As for the girl in his arms, she was pure and attractive, very beautiful. The bloodstains on her skirt didn't diminish her beauty. Instead, they added a touch of poignant fragility to her delicate demeanor. But this girl was about to die. Your pupils contracted, and you immediately used the X-ray vision ability granted by the beast god's inheritance to examine the girl.